Alright, good evening everyone. This is the Town of Sheldon Selectboard Water Commissioner meeting for Monday, June 23rd of 2025. Held here at the town office. Agenda for this evening under new business, we have the Highway Department report, Highway Personnel, Executive Session, Town Administrator's report, Historical Society building use. We need to sign and approve payroll warrant 2525, accounts payable warrant 31697, got some excess weight permits, highway financial plan, road and bridge standards. And under old business, we've got the Mill Street Sewer Project, Salt Shed Project, 2025 fire truck financing, Sheldon School land, and a hazardous mitigation plan. Is there anything else we need to add to the agenda for this evening?
Nancy's here, I'm not sure.
Alright, we'll jump right into the Highway Department report. What you got for us?
Well, this morning I had a drug test. I'm sure we're all good. We went right into Brendan Excavator. It's scheduled from last week. It showed up like at 9 o'clock, so this morning at 6 we went and mowed all the lawns around the creek here because they were kind of getting more out of control. And then Hunter jumped on that. We put some 6-inch blasted rock into the ditch on Pleasant Street going through on the right hand side, made a few water bars. The water kind of, after our job like 2 summers ago, it kind of washed the bottom of it back out, and the water gets ripping down through there, you know, in spring conditions. So that took pretty much 3/4 of the day. Tomorrow we're heading down to, or across, and we're gonna start knocking that bank down on the corner of Bridge and Pleasant, around the corner where the food shelf building is. And we're probably gonna put the material on the other side of the lower side of the guardrails on the left-hand side. So in the future we can move the guardrails over like 5 feet and have like a shoulder there. So it'll be better all the way around for plowing and agricultural tractors and whatnot when you're meeting on the corner. Really they both need to be widened, but for now the culvert's extended on the downstream side more than it is on the upstream side. So there's power poles we have to deal with on the right hand side so for now we'll at least move them over sooner than later on the downstream side. We had the excavator's like $2,000 a week, but it was cheap. It was cheaper to go with a full week than with a 4-day package. So we might be working on Friday for a little while just to get everything done. We're gonna, after that, we're gonna go down to Hill Street and do Tom's culvert for him, across that road. And we're gonna dig around for that water line and see what it looks like. And if we find it, we might go right up to back to Bridge Street with a new line. And then it'll just be a matter of when the time comes. It wasn't lined up. When the time comes, we'll have to get someone to bore underneath the road for the new line. But at least then we can do that on the backhoe.
Yeah.
And while we have the machine, we're gonna probably closer to Friday, we're gonna touch up where the salt shed's gonna go and smooth that over and work that over in the plane. We might do a little ditching around as well, around Bridge Street and up through Central, if the time is right. Steve called me this morning about roadside mowing. He said over the weekend he did like pretty much the west end, the pavement, then he did all the pavement around here throughout to back to Enosburg. He didn't quite get to the junction, but all the pavement's done for now. He says he won't be back till like Saturday, but he'll finish the pavement first. Then I think he might do Enosburg's dirt, and they'll come and hit our dirt. So just a waiting game there. I pointed out a few spots to look out for, and a few spots to widen on corners and whatnot. but other than that, he's on top of it. We have like 3 driveway culverts. Someone else called about one up on Rice Hill. I haven't had a chance to go up and check it out yet, but I know where it is, and it's not like an emergency by any means. But we'll do that with a backhoe following days here. And there's two culverts on one's on P.E.G, one's on East Sheldon for farm field driveway. And I purchased the culverts. It's just a matter of getting up there and doing them. But those we can also do with the backhoe as well. So it'll just be one of these days when we're all together. Matt has a welding class Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of this week, so he'll be gone tomorrow. So we'll try to do a few things in the morning while he's here, and it'll be just Hunter and I, but we can just continue digging and whatnot. We fixed the water leak last week at the mill on Shawville Road. It was up on the bank there. We dug it. We finally figured out where it was coming from. Like Wednesday and Thursday, we dug it, and then unfortunately it was still leaking a little bit. So we had to come in Friday morning just for a few hours and redig it and tighten it, adjusted the bearing clamp up on it, and it stopped. So we should be good, hopefully. Knock on wood. We were digging like around like 5 other pipes that were right there that weren't marked out. So it's always like a obstacle course down anywhere around that area. But everything went okay. And Hubert located another water leak today. Actually, he had a call on Bouchard Road. The first house on the right there's a water leak on the bank. So we're gonna try to tackle that tomorrow right off in the morning while we have a machine here. We can just walk it over there and do that before it gets too hot. Because you're still losing quite a bit of water. So that might have something to do with it as well. Yeah, we put a few loads of hot mix on like a few of the worst spots on like East Sheldon Road. There's some holes and some grooves, and fill those in. We'll probably need some more road as well. That was planning on getting paved that section, but it's nice to just try to level out the best you can. Help it out until the time comes. Yeah, I'm just waiting on one more bid for the salt shed project. It should be here any day now. It's kind of a private guy. He's from Fairfax, but that's all he does is concrete, so we'll see what he comes back at. Hunter passed his water exam 2 weeks ago, so I'm sure he'll be able to talk to you guys at some point, probably next meeting or so. Yeah. So yeah, he's released down. Hubert's on vacation the 30th through after the 7th, and I thought about taking a few days off the week of the 4th, which is next week. The boys can probably just keep mowing some lawns and get caught up on that in those cemeteries and probably clean the equipment up and tidy up the shop. It'll be a short week anyway. Be here 3 days.
How's that Sheldon mini mart? When Heather saw it, there's that water. She said she had water in that old, that mill house that Homer put out there.
Yeah.
She said she had like 3 feet of water in the basement.
Really?
Yeah, and she swears there's still a water leak out there. So
Yeah. The house that she sold like not too long ago, they claimed they had a water leak too, and we dug it and we couldn't find anything. And I've heard that was last year, and I haven't heard anything about it since.
This was just recently, this spring.
Huh.
Of course, we've had a lot of rain, but
Yeah.
She thinks that there's something still going on there.
Okay, we can check it out.
Yeah. Went out there and water delves around
Yeah.
or something. That's what I was there a week ago. And I said, well, it's been raining a lot, but she still thinks there's maybe some loose water out there. which is entirely possible,
Yeah,
because that water line goes right down to the stove,
yeah,
past Green Acres, I think, or somebody there.
yeah. Now that it's drying up a little bit, we should build this. Something may come up.
Right, that might be something worse.
So my understanding is the Fairfield Pond water line for personal use was used in that area years ago too.
Yeah, there's a hydrant that used to belong to Swan, and they used to come out and perform tests on it at the end of Fort Farm Road by the trailer.
Yeah,
Right, you must know where it is.
Right, but this is right back
Right.
there.
So it must come
Millhouse,
across there.
this
Right.
is,
It cuts right toward the store.
right, well, the old Pauline's used to,
Yeah.
actually they made coffee with that river water. So the water does go there somewhere.
that was river water.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Out of-
river water. Well,
That was out of the hydrant
Pauline's.
system. That was out of the hydrant system.
They were hooked up on that mill.
Okay.
The mills, whatever, but
Okay.
the house that she was speaking about was the one that's never been inhabited, right there.
Right, the one they were.
The old mill house.
Yeah,
The one that's been moved but never
Yeah,
inhabited.
Fires.
Right behind-
Right behind them.
Yeah.
In the, yeah, behind the so-called Green Acres house.
Yeah.
I think that's the one she was speaking of.
Okay, yeah, we can look into it.
I'm sure she'll let you know if you.
Yeah. We can talk
Whatever,
about
right?
it.
But she had water in the basement. Anyway, I said, huh? Okay.
Good.
And I would assume she would have contacted Hubert. But anyway, I don't know, maybe the water went away, it stopped raining.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it has rained before,
Right.
but maybe it goes in the basement and maybe it goes out of the basement.
I mean,
I don't think
there
they-
was always concerns about the water that came through the catch basin at the store across 105 and dumped out. It dilated over there, and at times it was probably pretty heavy.
Yeah,
But I don't know if that would have anything to do with it.
maybe something's been going on right wrong. Because I know they haven't spent a lot of time in that house.
Right.
On and off over the years.
Right. But there was water hooked up to it at one point, obviously.
I don't know anything about that. I know the lights were on for a lot of years and nobody was home. Yeah. Anyway, she was questioning that. I don't know if there's any, yeah, check it out. Find out, yeah.
Anything I'm forgetting about?
Not anything that's coming to my mind right now. We did have some maintenance on the backhoe. I don't know if that was since the last meeting. Some more work on that.
Yeah.
So,
The grader's scheduled for the week after the 4th, so they'll be here for that. And John Deere had to come, and there was a hose on the steering that was up under the column. It was kind of right where we were using it, so I kind of thought I could roll it in with fixing the AC at the same time. But the hose got fixed and the AC didn't, but it was John Deere fitting, so it wasn't a parts store run for that, so. Other than that, everything's going good.
I was in the town garage. I found 275 gallons of fuel over there.
a barrel full in the back room.
Yeah. Yeah. I said, well, I better pump that into that grader.
I don't know if you want to do that because there's no lubricant in heating fuel, if that's heating fuel.
There's number 2 oil, go right in that, no problem.
Yeah.
Number 2 is number 2. Off-road fuel.
We can just put it in the this fall or something. We'll put it in the fuel barrel.
It's number 2 oil, it'll go right in that machine, no problem. That's what number 2 oil is.
I get
Off-road fuel.
My understanding is that heating fuel is different though, with no lubrication for motors. That's what I was told.
In the winter, I mean, it all depends if it's got kerosene cut in with it or.
Right, it's number 2 oil. I'm sure it would just go right in that grater and burn right up fine. Looks like number 2 oil to me.
Yeah, that's what we
It
should.
needs to come out of that tank.
Yeah.
It needs to come out of that tank before. And the tank needs to be gone
Yeah.
because it's just a, yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, unless, of course, the fire department might want that back.
Must go stale after a while, it's been there for quite a few years.
Well, it's fire department, it's actually, yeah, it's fire, and you'd be onto that, Rick, it's fire department fuel, see? But it's right next to the, yeah.
Yeah, we'll get rid of it. I kind of forgot about it.
Yeah, we were all surprised just standing around there, I hit that tank and it was like, I thought might be a little bit in it, whatever, but, you know, of course. Full. It was Bloom's job to keep it full.
Yeah.
Because one time they did, it froze the pump, remember?
They remember that well.
Seth, I forgot to ask you, did they come over and fix your arm? Yeah, the phone company come over there yet?
Yeah.
They did?
Yeah.
Okay, good, yeah.
So at some point you're expecting to get a new laptop.
Yeah,
And
that'll be
when-
probably in the next month.
Yeah. When Blue Check has a chance there.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else got any other questions?
Nope.
Alright, thank you, so.
Yeah, nothing.
If you need that laser, just give me
Yeah,
give me a call.
Yeah, that's fine.
What's the historical society building is?
That's the document right there, right? So they, with the,
Maybe.
change that they made, with they've, been working on the upper floor, thanks to the money that they had from last year. And so anyway, now they have a bigger building, to use, and they're thinking about having, it's not something, I don't think that they're gonna have any sort of financial arrangement, but they're thinking about allowing outside groups to use the building for gathering certain things, Girl Scout troop meetings, card parties, things of that nature. So they kind of put together a
Policy?
policy for doing that. Again, I don't think that they have any plans immediately to have this be a money-making venture for them. It's just making sure that the people who are using the building are properly insured. And so they had drafted this, Historical Society drafted it with their lawyer, and I sent it to our attorney. He made a couple of changes, but in general, what people are generally worried about is events where there's alcohol served, and that's when people tend to do dumb things, cause damage. So there are some specific protections about those sorts of events in there, but otherwise it's a standard liability insurance coverage that people should have if they want to hold events of certain kinds. But anyway, I don't know if the board necessarily needs to
Approve anything?
approve of it, but I just wanted you to be aware that this historical society is, since it is the town's building, the historical society uses it under an agreement with the select board that they're planning to kind of sublet it up to some other groups. So the select board should be aware of that.
Well, let's get some stuff signed here. Get that out of the way. You got anything for us, Nancy? or-
I do, I just have a couple of things. I wish Seth would have stayed in left. My understanding, there's 3 speed bumps in the town garage. I don't know if Matt will know if he has inventory over there or not. I would like to see if we could utilize those 3 speed bumps. put one up by the Bouchard Road, maybe up above the Bouchard Road on Pleasant Street, because the other day Erin was coming home, she went by my house and she went to turn into her driveway, and a car almost could have T-boned her and the kids. I mean, they are passing right by the house, they're flying,
Yeah.
you know, and we can't have law enforcement here all the time, so I was thinking if somebody told me there was 3 speed bumps at the town garage, so if we could utilize them, maybe put one up above the Bouchard Road, maybe one down past Diane and Cranes or somewhere down that corner, because as soon as they go down that corner, they think they have to floor it to fly by, and then maybe put one here on Main Street or something, or somewhere else, but I'd like to see if we could utilize those 3 somewhere, maybe put 2 on the Pleasant Street to see maybe if we can eliminate some of the speed from the corner and flying down from the hill.
Okay.
Is that correct, Matt? There's 3 speed bumps?
I think I don't know if there's 3 or 2, but I think we used to put them up on School Street at one point. I don't know if all 3 of them were on, if there were 3 or just 2, but we do still have some.
Yeah, somebody said there was some in the town garage, so I thought maybe we should be utilizing it, especially in the summer, well, only in the summer months, but if we can do that.
Yeah, we can look into it. Must have some signs for that.
I don't know if we have signs for that, but I can
Have
look.
to check on that, yeah, put a sign up.
Yeah.
Um,
They come by my house at like 50, so
Yeah, they do, they fly.
it's, yeah.
And I mean, the other day, our air almost got hit.
right, and I know, certainly, well, Rodney brought it up at town meeting, he kind of asked for the same thing
Yeah,
here on Main Street. We've got other people who kind of suggested that.
It's a good job when Seth is gone, he put them speed bumps in.
yeah.
Right? They could be,
We'll look into that, yeah.
they could be the
No
ones that,
problem with
Okay, that's it.
I know we have bump signs, I don't know if we have speed bump signs, I know we have like, you know, the ones
that.
across
Yeah,
the.
just something to warn us there, so somebody doesn't take the bottom of the car.
That's
Yeah.
it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Nancy. Oh,
huh. Well, I think they got all under control here, so.
yeah. Check the old boxes on that, should be pretty well covered.
Must be. They're running the show.
Do we have previous meeting minutes to approve?
Oh,
Did I not put it on the agenda?
But I'm gonna read them, you can.
Oh, sorry, that's my fault, sorry about that.
Yeah, you've had a couple signatures on there already.
Right, that's right.
Streets, so.
Alright, it's meeting minutes from the Select Board Water Commissioner meeting from June 9th of 2025, held here at the town office at 7:30. In attendance from the Select Board is Maria Davison, Stephen Dodd, Nicholas Norris, Richard P.E.G. Others was Deborah Patel was via Zoom, and Matt Stebbins, Town Administrator. He forgot to put you down this time, Jerry. You were here though.
I was here.
Yeah.
I have a snore so they can hear me.
Call the meeting to order at 7:30 and read the agenda. Added to the agenda is executive session to discuss personnel and authorizing town clerk to approve catering licenses. At 7:40, the board took up proposed ordinance on public indecency. The board heard testimony from Deborah Patel and Matthew Stebbins about recent incidents involving public nudity on the rail trail. The individual involved has a history of this behavior, which is legal under state law. Similar incidents in Fairfield and St. Albans led to those towns to adopt local ordinances. Matt shared the proposed ordinance with similar language to those adopted in nearby towns, which had been reviewed by the town's attorney. The ordinance would define nudity in a public place as a public nuisance, which the town may regulate under state law. The timeline and procedure for adopting the ordinance was also reviewed. Nick Norris made a motion to adopt the proposed public indecency ordinance, except that the proposed penalties be amended to match the Fairfield ordinance. Rick Piasny seconded and the motion carried. 7:58, board took up a permit renewal for the Crow Hill Water Project. Project would involve increasing the size of the water line going up Crow Hill Road. Initial permit will expire this summer if not renewed. Getting a new permit in the future might be far more costly. The board discussed the history of the project and prospects for additional customers. Nick moved to renew the permit for 2 years, seconded by Maria, and the motion carried. 8:01, the board took up a resolution supporting the Vermont 250th Commission. The town would resolve to support the commission in part by appointing a local committee. Matt thought organizers of the next Old Home Day event could be the local committee. Matt read the proposed resolution aloud. Maria moved to adopt the resolution supporting the Vermont 250th Commission, seconded by Nick, and motion carried. 8:05, the board took up the intermunicipal zoning administrator agreement and the assessor interlocal agreement. Zoning agreement extends existing contract between Sheldon, North Hero, and Northwest Regional Planning by 1 year, increasing the cost not to exceed in Sheldon to $14,620. The assessor is employed by the town of Johnson, with the towns Berkshire, Hyde Park, St. George, and Sheldon invoiced monthly. The assessor agreement would increase the weekly hours in Sheldon from 6 to 8 beginning in January of 2026. Adds a new shared budgets for training and IT and a small raise to reflect the assessor's level 2 certification. Nick moved to approve the proposed intermunicipal zoning administrator agreement, seconded by Maria, and the motion carried. I signed the agreement on behalf of the board. Rick moved to approve the proposed assessor interlocal agreement, seconded by Maria, and the motion carried, and I signed that agreement on behalf of the board. 8:13, the board took up discussion on the Mill Street Sewer Project. Matt presented the board with a proposed contract from Otter Creek Engineering for their services. He also provided the latest timeline for the project from engineer Robert Clark, under which the project would go to bid by July 15th. The board discussed the project history, estimated costs, and potential timeline. Rick made a motion to accept the sewer project proposal from Otter Creek Engineering, seconded by Nick, and the motion carried. 8:23, board took up financing of the 2025 fire truck. The paperwork had not been received from the lease company for approval. A special meeting will have to be called. And 8:28, the board took up the proposed policing contract with the Franklin County Sheriff's Office. Matt explained that following the discussion with the sheriff at the previous meeting, the contract was updated with 6 months of coverage at 8 hours per week and 6 months at 16 hours per week. Rick moved to accept the proposed policing contract with the Franklin County Sheriff's Office, so seconded by Maria, and the motion carried. 8:33, Matt Stebbins gave the town administrator's report discussing proposed regional plan changes regarding housing, hazardous mitigation planning, municipal roads general permit training, and recent reappraisal of utility properties, participating in statewide salt contract, parking enforcement issues, upcoming vacancy in animal control position, and the need to update municipal existing ordinances. 8:53, the board took up authorizing town clerk to approve catering licenses. The state had cut lead time for catering licenses from 14 days to 5 days before the event. Forecast that the select board delegate the authority to approve catering licenses where the notification window expires before the next regular select board meeting. Nick moved to delegate the authority to approve catering licenses to the town clerk, seconded by Maria, and the motion carried. 8:56, the board took up the 2025 paving bids. Bids were received from Pike Industries, SD Ireland, and FW Whitcomb. Nick moved to accept the bid from SD Ireland for 2025 paving projects, seconded by Rick, and the motion carried. 9:19, I read the minutes from the May 27th meeting. The board signed payroll warrant 2523, accounts payable warrant 31694, excess weight permits for King's Trucking, DeSources Bolt Service, and Munson Earth Moving. 9:22, Rick moved to accept the minutes as read, seconded by Maria, and motion carried. 9:23, Nick moved to enter into executive session to discuss personnel, seconded by Maria, and the motion carried. 10:05, Nick moved to exit executive session and adjourn the meeting, seconded by Rick, and the motion carried with all in favor. Next regular meeting is Monday, June 23rd. Take a motion to accept these minutes as read. Second on that.
I second it.
All right, all in favor? Aye, opposed? All right. You have the road and bridge standards?
I do, yeah. Unfortunately, I don't quite know how to fill out this financial plan information. I feel like Kim provided that last year, and I don't. This is stuff that we should have done in March, and I apologize for not remembering to do it then. But those are the forms that we adopt every year. This needs to have some information put into it, and I don't know quite how to get the numbers for that. I can show you what we did for last year, but I don't know this was adopted before I think this was adopted before I was hired. And I don't know where she got these numbers from last year, so.
Just do a budget, right?
Yeah, I think.
That's what we put in the budget, or?
I think it's roughly what
What we plan on spending for,
Right.
for maintenance?
Yeah. Well, you gotta have X amount in there for signs, cause they make sure you've got so much in the budget for signs. Is that the one? Yeah. Certified, the funds raised by missiles are equal to greater than the sum of $300 per mile.
Yeah, I apologize on this one. This should have been.
That's all it is.
Our
You got $300 a mile?
Annual.
Probably do, huh?
organization.
And this is the standard?
Yeah.
Standard. Dude,
Maintenance budget is right there.
well, sure. We're just, yeah, it's already done here, so we'll just. All these papers, right?
This income is what we get from the state for
I believe
class
so, and
2
I
and
can
3 roads.
find that.
Yeah, then they
And
just,
then the expenses,
yeah.
winter maintenance,
They used
and non-winter
We
maintenance.
used to always have an annual meeting with the district. And you
Yeah.
used to come and sort all that out, we signed all that stuff. But they ain't got time to come out with all the towns anymore.
Well, we've got paving budget, I guess, and,
Let me see this right here.
funds raised from municipal taxes, at least $300 per mile.
Yeah, 50 miles.
Yeah.
I think we're in the zone,
Oh, I guess not.
right? But they used to do they used to
Well,
bring
I'm
that.
having a form here that has some numbers on it already, but I guess I don't know where they were generated from, but I don't know if these are the rates, but we don't have any class 1 highways, so I don't know.
No,
The numbers come from.
Plus 2. Plus 3. There you go. Winter maintenance right here, see? Winter maintenance is a lot higher, because you don't need all that stuff. This was last year's plan. Somebody signed on it. Richard, yeah, for your dog. You signed this in March.
Yeah, see, you did it before I was on board here, so I didn't do it last year.
This was all done in March, so this is the new one.
Yeah, that's the new one. That's last year.
I was just showing last
Trying
year,
to
so
figure
trying
out.
to figure out how to do it.
Well, you get your, under your state federal reimbursements, you get your state aid highways there. Probably haven't got that yet this year, but you've got what you got. You got 124,000 last year.
Okay.
That's for possibly the 3-road.
This looks like homework, this looks like homework for you, Steve.
Yeah. I'll take the job from that.
Well, that's
Matt and town clerk.
Yeah, they just,
Would they have to issue that before July 1st is not the fiscal year?
Yeah, we were, yeah,
So-
well, we were supposed to let them know before July.
Yeah.
Well, we should have, I think we were supposed to send it back before now. We usually do this in March or April.
the time was that the state came out and went over this on every town, and we had a discussion about, they would come.
Right. The District 8 people would come in.
That's right. And
We could
go-
ask them to come too. Thanks.
Well, it was always a good meeting.
Right.
You want the compliance thing here signed, right?
I think that's the idea, yeah. The town bridge, the bridge and road standards and the,
Yeah.
network inventory or whatever, those
They want that,
we have adopted those
That's fine.
standards.
do that.
That's the
Let me get
financial
that.
part that I'm not so.
Nick could sign that here. Sure, sign this one too.
Yep.
Sure. And you'll get it all filled in later on, or whatever it takes. And, these guys here,
Yeah.
take a quick look at this.
It's your turn.
What about road and bridge standards?
What's that?
What about road and bridge standards?
That's one of those three.
Oh, that's one of those ones.
Yeah,
One's the
that's-
financial plan. and
Yeah.
one's the
Yeah.
road and bridge, okay.
Yeah, I gave you all of it together.
So what's new on the Mill Street sewer project?
I was.
Any updates?
No, unfortunately, I don't have one. I thought last time I had gotten an email from Robert, he said that he thought the draft plan would be done June 20th, which was last Friday.
Yeah.
But I haven't received anything from him about that. Now, I don't know if it would have changed that much from the document I shared with you last time, so.
Okay.
But just to re-go over that, timeline with you is that he, with the draft being completed, by July 1st, we do need to get a state permit for that, job because we are moving the sewer just enough, I think. And then, so the permit has to be filed, do something to do that by July 1st. And then, he thought by July 15th, we could, have the bid ready to go out. With the idea that we reviewed bids around the middle of August and select a contractor, provided that we did bid. You know, that doesn't leave a whole lot of time to get the project done this year, but it is in our favor. It's a smaller project, so maybe there's somebody who's needs some work or is available at that time.
Yours are a little different.
So
They're all
unfortunately, I
checked.
thought I might have, a
today,
final
too.
product to show you.
It's today too. I haven't seen it once.
But
Same
I
day
can show you the
before.
draft that he had sent, but I don't. Last
Yeah.
time I talked to him, he needed to talk to a few more people down on Mill Street to, things
Sure,
wanted to learn about where their,
Sure.
where their,
Yeah, it's a
their
$6,000
sewer connections
one.
were and,
What is that?
see where it went out in their house and
What
things
is
like
that
that.
right there?
Okay.
So,
FD communication equipment repair.
Pros and cons, fire department.
And salt shed project to
So,
wait for
as,
one more building.
Okay.
Yeah, as Seth said, that we're waiting.
Fire truck financing, that all set.
So that finally went through after all the running around that I did that week.
Could be
Oh, yeah.
And the only thing to update you about that is that, as I mentioned,
stuff.
People's Trust reached out to us saying that they would like the opportunity to talk about refinancing that agreement. Now, we're committed to annual payments, so
Yeah.
we don't have to take action on that for a whole year, but it sounded like they were gonna be able to offer us better terms.
Okay.
So, at some point, I will get into that with them and bring it before you to see if you want to agree to refinance that agreement. But I sent I'm waiting for the finalized contract to go through, but obviously the truck was delivered. It's been loaded up. I don't know if I think I saw it go out on the call last week, didn't it? Yeah, so it's all insured. Brandon came in the next day to do on Monday, last Monday, to do the registration for it. Everybody was waiting. Anyway, so yeah, I just wanted to say that sometime soon, but not in a hurry, I will contact People's Trust and talk to them about refinancing that.
Okay. School land or something new on that? Or?
Well, I'm not sure if there's exactly something new, but I have talked with Vern Boomhover, the facilities person for the district, about it, and he seemed amenable. I hadn't talked to Morgan directly about this. I was thinking maybe perhaps the best, because the town's in a sort of strange position because we've asked the voters to do something and they said no. So now if we do something else, without asking for voter permission, it's kind of, it's a delicate position the town's in if we want to try to enter into some alternative agreement with the school district about that. So I said, I thought maybe the best way to go forward with this would be to have some sort of public forum for people to engage with the select board and the school board, or maybe get the planning commission involved or somebody where people can throw all the options on the table and people are involved in discussing that, and it's not something that just happens in a select board meeting and we propose it at a town meeting and people are kind of taken aback by it. Because obviously there's a lot of different issues going on down there with regard to between the traffic concerns, the parking, but also the school being, beyond the capacity for the building that's there. They put 4 portable classrooms back there and there's still more students there. So eventually, I don't know if they have any immediate plans, but that school should be growing. The building should be getting bigger probably in the long run. And if the town is if we have this issue with the town owning land down there, that may be a roadblock to how the school is going forward.
Yeah.
So
I think it might be, I don't think it was presented very well at town meeting. Or maybe it could have been presented differently.
Well, I think that it was a proposal from the select board, and the school board wasn't really there. I mean, obviously, one of the school board members was there, but the school board wasn't there as a body to answer questions about what might happen. And I feel like if there was perhaps we should work together with them to build a way that community members can have input into whatever proposal we come up with.
What's their timeline on this? On that, do they have a timeline on when they would?
Well, they were hoping to do it this year, but they to do the parking situation that they wanted to this year, but they kind of put the brakes on that now that they.
I'm not sure their road plan is really.
Right. So that, anyway, what I was thinking is I would propose to them to either get someone from the select board or myself and someone from the school, and then maybe we have some sort of public forum where we ask people who are interested in the school to talk about this, and then there's more. Maybe I should reach out to like regional planning or something to help us with that, organizing that so that there's a bit more of a dialogue about, because there's several different things that could happen down there. The road could be changed, reconfigured in several different ways. They could add parking in lots of different places if they wanted to. And
Wow.
there's a lot of land.
If the town wants to change the road, she can.
Right, that's right.
And they can't say anything about it,
Right.
right? See? If we wanted to take the road and go right straight to 105 and abandon the other cutoff, all we do is get a road cut from the state, and we run a road right down the street, and that would be that, because we own all the land, according to it, right?
Not on that other side of the road.
Yeah, you'd have to take some of it from the school.
Yeah, that's
I thought the school,
They own the other side of the road.
oh,
Yeah,
well,
where the forest is.
I mean, we would just take it by eminent domain
You could do that too.
and straighten the road in. Because to me, the road should go right straight. The zigzag in the road and that whole, because we had a plan for that at one point.
Well, it's we have 5 different plans down there, and
Yeah.
nothing seems to come to pass there.
But there was, yeah. I don't know quite how to present it.
Yeah, I guess if you can get
Yeah,
some sort
I mean, the
of,
other alternative, I could invite them to come back to the next select board meeting and see if they want to do it that way too.
it'd be worth talking to like regional planning and so, I don't know, get some input on that. You'd think more of the parents with kids in school would be, pushing for some safety there.
The roads
I
are
mean,
all,
we've tried, well, Greg said, we've had 4 or 5 different plans to try to improve that situation down there, and it all
blows up.
balls up and never gets anywhere, never gets out of the jar. But,
And they're the ones all lined up in a row down there trying
Yeah,
yeah.
big mess every day.
But at some point, we need to figure out all that, their land, our land, who's using what, and who owns what, and who's liable for what. And like you said, if they go to expand the school, where are they going with it?
Right.
They're
Yeah.
gonna go on the other side of the road?
Right. I don't know.
It's, that all needs to get straightened out at some point. My thought was that, the school's using that land and maintaining it.
They might,
That's
the voters might be, I mean, if you had it situated there so that the cars went up and there was sort of a carport there for the children to come out and get into the cars and stuff, people might think that was a good idea, and they might go for that, because there's, how many cars go down there and pick up children?
Well, you go there in the morning, don't you? Used to a lot of times. Traffic jam.
Yeah, I mean, mornings are pretty streamlined. It's really the pickup that's the issue. If it's down on 105, it backs up.
Special events are a nightmare.
Yeah, oh yeah. The concert every time.
But, there's so many children that are picked up at school by, specific people, and then all the checks have to be, everything has to check out. The children are leaving with the proper people and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let's see. Need to all figure it out together, I guess. Because we can suggest what we want, but if they want something different, it's not gonna do any good.
Just bring it back up and have a better presentation at the
Yeah.
next town meeting.
We need to do it, like you said, maybe a public forum or whatever, and get the word out there,
Yeah,
get people talking about it.
I don't think that there's gonna be a whole lot of clarity on that until they know about the consolidation. That was the big
I mean, that's
concern of the state.
That
Yeah,
was the
there's
biggest
this
thing,
whole piece
everybody
of,
was
like,
all wound up.
I think that's why the
about
land, they don't wanna let the land go, like as a, you know.
oh, with the new school bill.
Right, they're
Yeah.
fine if, they don't know if it's gonna be some sort of local control remains with it, but when the school consolidation happens, and all of a sudden they don't know who's gonna own it, if it goes to school, it doesn't go elsewhere in the state, there's less control, or, you know what I mean?
No,
So it's just that whole,
They're not gonna close that school.
no, it wasn't about the school, it's just about the land that you send over, and what you do with it, you know?
They're gonna use it for school.
Yeah, you should. Well, what was that sales pitch on town meeting?
I don't know. There was, yeah. There wasn't, you know what there wasn't? There wasn't a good presentation by the school as to why that needed to happen. Superintendent or someone there with, their architect, their planning, someone could, their engineer, that's right, their engineer should have been there to present the plan
Everything.
and the reason why, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and why it was gonna be good for the community. Pretty much.
Once they can agree on the plan,
You're right.
they can present it.
Alright, let's see, where are we with hazardous mitigation?
So, yeah, so I have it here, unfortunately, I printed, it's cut, so this is the draft plan, people wanna look at it, but it's, she's,
Hazardous waste.
honestly.
Okay, is that it?
Unfortunately, I printed it, so we have to flip over every page, so.
Sorry.
But,
Church is hazardous?
I don't think the church is.
What is that, all the different places that are hazardous in town or
Well,
something?
this is the old plan where you used to be horseback as tertiary communications, if you like.
Oh, thank you. I don't know here.
So the reason, so this is all predicated on, to qualify for FEMA assistance, you need to have adopted a local hazard mitigation plan. And Sheldon's, this is a requirement as of, I think, 5 years ago or something.
This flood, you mean?
Yeah, so,
This is everything catastrophic happens, and Rick is the command center.
Oh, that.
Like I said, you're the messenger on the horseback.
Oh, I see, yeah.
right, so I think
Yeah.
part of the reason why this is because FEMA being set up as a national organization is set up to deal with county government.
Yeah.
And we don't have county government, so I think to the equivalent of that is sort of this every town having this local plan.
Sure.
So that when FEMA comes in, they have, you hand them this document and they know that, these are you've identified the hazards that you perceive to be the highest risk or have the highest impact on your community. So, to review, we had our meeting a couple weeks ago, about a month ago now. And we went through, of course, Sheldon's sort of been fortunate that we haven't had a FEMA level disaster in quite a few years, but the big risks were flooding, inundation flooding, ice storms, wind damage, and then there were other things to consider, heat events like we're going through right now.
Yeah, sure.
Snow, other events, but those, while they happen here, they don't tend to cause as much damage or have as much risk in Sheldon.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is sort of the compendium of that, and so the idea is just to have you and people who are going to watch the proceedings aware of the progress that's being made in here. If there's no edits, then there'll be an announcement. Our consultant will publish an announcement that the draft isn't ready to review. And then it will be sent to Vermont Emergency Management and FEMA for them to review and approve the plan. So,
Okay,
I think basically we identified as I said, we kind of rank ordered the risks that we thought were most important to prepare for in Sheldon, and then we sort of identified the likelihood of how damaging those would be, how bad they would be for, and it was across, there was a whole rubric for how to do it, what would be the impact on agricultural forestry, what would be the impact on the economy, what would be the impact communications, things like that. So it was a pretty thorough process, yeah, so having gone through the committee, if there's no further edits to be made, it will be sent to the state and then to the federal authorities for them to approve, to comment, and send it back maybe for comment or changes, and then when it's finally adopted, then we will have it in place, and if there is a emergency in Sheldon, we'll be prepared to receive federal assistance if it comes to trial.
So we need to adopt this tonight?
I'm not sure that you need to have a formal vote on it, actually.
Well, it says right here, certificate of adoption.
Oh, does it? Okay.
We need to adopt a resolution adopting local hazard mitigation plan in Sheldon, Vermont. Whereas the Sheldon Select Board recognizes the threat of natural hazards posed to people and property within the town of Sheldon, and whereas the Sheldon Select Board has prepared a natural hazard mitigation plan, hereby known as the Local Hazard Mitigation Plan for Sheldon, Vermont 2025, in accordance with federal laws, including the Robert T. Stafford Disaster Relief and Emergency Assistance Act, as amended, the National Flood Insurance Act of 1968 as amended, and the National Dam Safety Program Act as amended, and whereas the Local Hazard Mitigation Plan for Sheldon, Vermont 2025 identifies mitigation goals and actions to reduce or eliminate long-term risk to people and property in the town of Sheldon from the impacts of future hazards and disasters. And whereas adoption by the Sheldon Select Board demonstrates its commitment to hazard mitigation and achieving the goals outlined in the Local Hazard Mitigation Plan, Sheldon, Vermont 2025. Now therefore be it resolved by the town of Sheldon, Vermont, that Section 1, in accordance with 24 VSA 872, the Sheldon Select Board adopts the Local Hazard Mitigation Plan, Sheldon, Vermont 2025, while content related to the town of Sheldon may require revisions to meet the plan approval requirements. Changes occurring after adoption will not require the town of Sheldon to re-adopt any further iterations of the plan. Subsequent plans, updates following the approval period for this plan will require separate adoption resolutions adopted by a vote of so many in favor and so many against and so many abstaining this day, date, signed and attested by.
you want a motion?
I think we do. We need a motion to adopt this certificate.
Is this every year?
No, it's not every year. It's every 5 years.
The 5-year plan.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And you went over this at a meeting? Okay.
yeah,
And Rick was there?
yeah.
And you?
Rick and Nancy was there. And
Okay. I'll make a motion to adopt it.
So I guess we need to adopt it by vote. How many in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? 5 in favor, 0 against, 0 abstaining.
There you go.
0 against, 0 abstaining. This the 23rd day of June.
Met with him one time. FEMA came. They were all right. Biggest thing, wow. You
Gravel would be another one that
do not be giving out permits
You can attest to that.
in flood zone.
Right.
Because then you lose all your funding in the whole town
FEMA.
or something.
they, yeah,
It's a
there is
big no-no.
There is so in the discussion of this, she brought up whether they are updating the
Flood zone.
those firm panels that were done in the 80s.
The what?
The FEMA the flood, the flood maps.
Oh, yeah,
The state's updating those right now.
No, I'm sure they're gonna make
I'm
it.
not sure where we're at with that. I haven't heard any directly. Supposedly, they're supposed to be engaging with us to work together on, if the town has suggestions about areas that should or should not be considered in that. So
That's up to to establish floodplains, the state's gotta hire an engineer.
right.
And that's a federal thing, that's usually done by the federal government. And they gotta do hydraulic, it's gotta be all the way up the river and all the way back and do all the calculations.
My understanding is that that's been done, but then there's an engagement process of some sort. I don't know if that
Yeah.
in any way changes what comes out of that, but part of that, as you were saying, part of that is that once those things are established, in those flood areas,
But those,
should not be any new
those
buildings.
calculations there were done in the 70s and early 80s, I wanna say. But with today's technology, they might be able to do it from space for all I know. GPS,
LiDAR,
GPS and the mapping is a whole lot different today than it
Probably
was.
do some sort of like a AI
Yeah.
situation where they
Yeah, who knows, anyway.
run a scenario.
We're not in that, that's not our job.
You got anything else for us in your
Sure,
experimental
yeah.
report?
So, we are at that time, Matt Bouchard's gonna be here later this week to, first, of our computer upgrades. So we're gonna replace the firewall, in the server room over here, but that, he said, should only take about 20 minutes to do that, but that's the first and major thing that has to happen. And then, Hubert's getting a new computer for the water desk. We're gonna take his computer and last year we moved an extra computer over for the public search for land records, and since that time one of those computers died, so we're gonna take Hubert's and move it over there and be the second computer now. Seth is gonna get there's gonna be a new laptop for the road foreman, and the only other change we're making is that we're actually gonna get rid of the zoning computer and have zoning and listing share one computer, since they're only here 1 day a week. In the long run, I think both of them have laptops they bring from work, and we'll probably, that computer will eventually, the next time we need to update a computer, well, maybe that'll go away from their desk and they'll just have all the software on their laptops and bring them in, and we'll have a docking station for them. So, anyway, so computer. Now, in with that, they had a failure of their modem over at the town garage a couple weeks ago, and that's been fixed since. But we upgraded the internet. As you guys may recall, we upgraded the internet here at the town office last year to Comcast because that would facilitate us moving to the Nemrick cloud system and not having our own server here in the building, which to replace the server was going to be like $6,000 or $7,000. So we upgraded our internet service at that time because Comcast had come into town with higher speeds. Now Consolidated, under the name of Fidium, has come in with their fiber network. So we're going to suddenly have more options for high-speed internet here in the village. And in time, just because I serve on the board for Northwest Communications, they're just starting to construct their network. And they're going to start in some of the lesser served areas of Franklin County. But if, once they start building, Sheldon's right in the middle of the county. So if they're building in the outskirts of the county, eventually they're going to try to connect those together, and there's a very good likelihood that Sheldon will be part of that network as well, and down the road. So in a few years' time, we may have as many as 3 different companies that we can get pricing with for high-speed internet. And I bring all that up to say that one thing I know that I don't know. My suspicion is that as Consolidated has built this fiber network, they're going to start persuading people to drop the old telephone technology and go to the fiber network entirely. And so we still have phone service here and all of our locations, but I'm starting to think maybe we should look at moving all of our service either onto one carrier for all of our locations, and then having our phone provided through voice over the internet services instead of a traditional telephone. And there's lots of that can get really competitive in terms of there's lots of companies that provide telephone services that are superior to using that technology. So it's not anything I'm thinking about doing immediately, but in the next year or so, as these networks are up and they're starting to compete with each other for price, I think the town can take advantage of that. And also, since most of our people have a cell phone anyway, so that it would be very easy with that technology to be like, if somebody wants to call me here at the office and I'm not here, it'll ring on my phone, out in the field, or I can forward, I can be like, oh, you need to talk to the town clerk, and I can forward a phone call to her, if I'm not. Right now, if we're here, I can only do that if you're here physically in the office with the telephone system. So I think there's some small but appreciable gains from going to that sort of system in the long run. But anyway, it's not something I think we're going to move on immediately, but I would say I would definitely be planning for that in next year's budget to make those sorts of updates. Okay, we held our grievance hearings here last Wednesday. I think we had 3 grievances. There are a couple people who I think, for whatever reason, didn't get their mail, so the mail got sent back to us, so we need to re-notify those people. But otherwise, I believe that and all the people we had very reasonable discussions about some issues with people. And so, anyway, Justin will be announcing any changes that he has proposed this week. And then, in theory, if people want to appeal further, if we go to the BCA for that. But as I said, so the grand list process is rolling along there. Sort of going in with the phone and internet, I did some little small maintenance on the security system here. There were some sensors that were needed new batteries and recalibrating here, but we have talked about putting some cameras around either here at the town, both here at the town garage, so that's something I'll be working on. That would be something I think we can do this year. We should be doing this year. As Seth mentioned, we fixed a couple of water leaks. And I want, just because Nancy mentioned Nancy was talking about speed bumps, there has been a fair amount of discussion of policing on the Facebook forum for people in Sheldon. It's kind of interesting. There's somebody who tends to let people know when the sheriff is here in the village, and I'm not sure if they're doing that. I'm not sure if they're tending to do that because for good or for ill. I'm not sure. I don't know if they think that helps to law enforcement or if they are trying to help people avoid law enforcement. But I don't agree with it, but we don't run, that's a thing that's run by somebody else in Sheldon, it's not run by the town, but I do post the updates from the town on there. However, just saying, there has been a fair amount of discussion, this has generated a fair amount of discussion about policing, speeding, people asking more about speed bumps, things like that.
Let's put speed bumps up.
Concerns about things, and this is just this has been a recurring issue, but it's just something that this happened, and a bunch of people came out of the woodwork to, voice their opinions about it, so I figured I should share that with you. Yeah. And that's about it. I got notice that, Clem Rogers, who's the manager of AmCare, is retiring, and so there's gonna be a retirement party for him sometime in July that people from town they specifically invited select boards to, in case you guys are interested in that. So.
July?
Yes, I think it's July 24th, I want to say. But
Where's that? There's gonna be some kind of party?
yeah.
At the
It's
location?
it's
Rick's having it at the
July
fair?
22nd that must be one of the bars in Kingman Street. It's the Depot on Kingman Street.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. I thought you were gonna say like a cake thing, but.
Was there a time ago?
5 o'clock.
Yeah, that.
What's our budget look like for that?
We should get numbers on that fence,
Yes, yeah.
on the,
Around the garage.
just get some numbers on the fence around the garage.
Yeah, I was gonna reach out to Tom Furyk, although I don't know how he's.
Lafayette.
He had surgery last year, so I don't know if he's recovered from that or not, but he could at least give us
Who's that?
Tom Furyk, his fence. He built the fence around the ball field, for example.
Oh,
A bunch of,
I know him.
yeah.
I don't know that was a big deal.
Black. It's around the ball field.
Bordeaux Field.
Oh, no.
I think he did
Yeah.
the Christian Park fence too, I think.
The school fence, you need like a
Yeah.
Lafayette. Lafayette is a fence company, or some fence company.
Yeah.
Get an idea what that would be. 'Cause I think that would be an asset to the town, have a fence around the perimeter. Yeah. So we need to do an executive session, is that right?
Yep. Good then.
I think so.
Good.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session and then adjourn our regular meeting when we exit executive session.
Alright, take that motion, I get a second on that?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Oh. Alright.